You've spent $40, $60, maybe even $80 on a high-quality probiotic supplement. You took it every morning, followed the instructions, waited for results, and felt absolutely nothing. So here's the question that nobody in the supplement industry wants to answer. Why do probiotics keep failing? The answer isn't about the brand. It's not about the dosage. It's something far more sinister happening deep inside your gut right now. Harmful bacteria are not sitting there defenseless, waiting to be wiped out. They've built fortresses. A sticky, protective layer called a biofilm, a shield so tough that most probiotics, antibiotics, and even your own immune system simply bounce off it. Your $60 supplement never even reaches the enemy. And here's where it gets worse. After the age of 50, your beneficial gut bacteria naturally decline by roughly 40% every decade. So, while harmful bacteria hide behind their armor, your defenses are literally shrinking. The battlefield is already tilted against you. Now, the pharmaceutical industry knows this, and yet the probiotic market is projected to hit $130 billion by 2030, selling you products that can't penetrate the one barrier that matters. But what if the most powerful gut-cleansing tools weren't in a capsule? What if they were already sitting in your kitchen cabinet? In this video, I'm going to rank 8 natural spices from least to most effective that research suggests can actually break through biofilm, eliminate harmful bacteria, and help restore your gut from the inside out. Number 1 on that list is a 3-ingredient morning formula, so potent I call it the Golden Flush. Before we dive in, drop your age in the comments, where you're watching from, and whether you've ever tried probiotics before. I read every single comment, and I'll answer your questions personally. Let's get into it. The shortest path to a cleaner gut, starting with what's already in your kitchen. Let's get one thing straight before we rank anything. This isn't a list of trendy supplements with celebrity endorsements. Every single item here has a documented mechanism, meaning researchers have observed, measured, and published exactly how it interacts with harmful bacteria inside the human gut. For anyone dealing with kidney stress, that distinction matters enormously because your body can't afford to experiment blindly. We start at the bottom and work our way up to something genuinely remarkable. Number 8. Oregano oil. The active compound here is carvacrol, a phenolic monoterpenoid that disrupts the outer membrane of gram-negative bacteria by embedding itself into the lipid bilayer and causing it to leak. A 2011 study published in the Journal of Applied Microbiology found that carvacrol at concentrations as low as 0.01% inhibited the growth of E. coli and Salmonella by over 90% in laboratory conditions. The limitation, and this is important, is penetration depth. Carvacrol is effective at surface-level bacterial activity, but it struggles to break through mature biofilm architecture. Think of it as a soldier who can defeat enemies in the open field, but can't breach the fortress wall. How to use it? Always dilute. 1 to 2 drops in a tablespoon of olive oil or coconut oil taken with food. Never consume oregano oil directly on an empty stomach, and never exceed 2 to 3 drops per dose. For kidney patients specifically, keep usage to short cycles of no more than 2 weeks at a time. Number 7. Raw garlic and Manuka honey. This combination earns its ranking because of Allicin, a sulfur compound produced when garlic is crushed and exposed to oxygen. Here's the precise detail most people miss. Allicin does not exist inside an intact garlic clove. It forms only when the enzyme alliinase contacts allicin, which happens only when the cell walls are physically broken. Crush it, wait 10 minutes, then eat it. Skip that step, and you've just eaten a flavorless bulb with zero antimicrobial activity. A 2014 meta-analysis in the Journal of Nutrition confirmed that allicin inhibits the formation of biofilm in Staphylococcus aureus colonies by interfering with quorum, sensing the chemical communication system bacteria use to coordinate and build their protective layer. Without communication, the colony cannot organize its defenses. Manuka honey contributes methyl glyoxal, MgO, rated on the unique Manuka factor scale. Research from the University of Sydney demonstrated that Manuka honey, with an MgO rating of 514 or higher, reduced biofilm thickness by up to 77% in H. pylori cultures. 1 clove of crushed raw garlic combined with half a teaspoon of high MgO Manuka honey taken in the morning is a protocol backed by measurable data. Number 6. Clove tea and Ceylon cinnamon. 2 compounds, 2 distinct mechanisms working in parallel. Eugenol from clove operates by inhibiting bacterial DNA gyrase, an enzyme bacteria need to replicate their genetic material. No replication means the colony cannot grow fast enough to sustain itself. Cinnamaldehyde from cinnamon attacks the biofilm matrix directly, degrading the polysaccharide scaffold that holds the entire structure together. A study from the National University of Singapore found that cinnamaldehyde reduced biofilm formation by Candida albicans by 67% at a concentration of 500 micrograms per milliliter. That's meaningful data for anyone dealing with gut dysbiosis. Now the critical warning, and this is non-negotiable. Ceylon cinnamon and Cassia cinnamon look identical in powder form, but they are fundamentally different substances. Cassia contains coumarin at levels between 1,000 and 12,000 milligrams per kilogram. The European Food Safety Authority has set the tolerable daily intake of coumarin at 0.1 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. For a 70-kilogram person, that's just 7 milligrams per day, an amount easily exceeded by a single teaspoon of cassia powder. For someone with compromised kidney or liver function, long-term cassia use is a genuine risk. Ceylon cinnamon contains coumarin at roughly 17 milligrams per kilogram. The difference is not cosmetic. Check the label. Number 5. Ginger and apple cider vinegar. Ginger's primary bioactive compounds, gingerols and shogaols, stimulate peristalsis, the wave-like muscular contractions that move contents through the intestinal tract. This mechanical effect physically displaces bacteria before they can adhere to the gut wall and begin biofilm formation. A 2015 study in the World Journal of Gastroenterology found that ginger supplementation accelerated gastric emptying by 25% in patients with functional dyspepsia. Apple cider vinegar shifts the intestinal pH toward acidity. Most harmful bacteria, including Clostridium difficile and certain Enterococcus strains, are significantly less viable in acidic environments. The acetic acid concentration in raw, unfiltered ACV is typically between 4% and 8%. The delivery method matters completely. Drinking ACV undiluted is corrosive to tooth enamel and esophageal tissue. Always dilute 1 to 2 tablespoons in at least 240 milliliters of water. For kidney patients, ACV should be used cautiously because of its potassium content and its effect on acid-base balance. Short cycles of 2 to 3 weeks with breaks in between is a reasonable approach. Number 4. Fennel seeds and peppermint. These two work on a different level than the others. Rather than attacking bacteria directly, fennel and peppermint address the environment in which bacteria thrive. Anethole in fennel and menthol in peppermint both relax the smooth muscle lining of the intestinal wall, reducing spasms, bloating, and the stagnant pockets of gas that create ideal low oxygen conditions for anaerobic harmful bacteria to colonize. A Cochrane review of 9 randomized controlled trials found that peppermint oil capsules reduced abdominal pain and bloating in IBS patients by 40% compared to placebo. Fennel seed tea, consumed after meals, has been used clinically in European gastroenterology settings for decades. This combination won't kill bacteria aggressively, but it restructures the terrain so harmful bacteria can't establish dominance. Number 3. Turmeric with black pepper and coconut oil. Curcumin, the polyphenol in turmeric, directly disrupts biofilm architecture by inhibiting the genes responsible for biofilm synthesis, specifically the CSGA and CSGB genes in E. coli strains, according to research published in Biofouling Journal in 2016. The colony literally loses the genetic instruction to build its protective structure. The absorption problem with curcumin is well documented and significant. Taken alone, curcumin has roughly 1% oral bioavailability. It passes through the digestive tract largely intact. Piperine from black pepper inhibits glucuronidation in the liver, the metabolic process that breaks curcumin down before it can enter systemic circulation. A landmark study in Planta Medica by Shoba et al. Found that 20 milligrams of piperine, co-administered with 2 grams of curcumin, increased curcumin bioavailability by 2,000% in human subjects. Coconut oil, as a fat-soluble carrier, further enhances absorption through the lymphatic pathway. These 3 ingredients are not optional add-ons to each other, they are mechanistically inseparable. Number 2, Goldenseal and ginger tea. Berberine is the compound that places Goldenseal this high on the list. It is one of the most rigorously studied natural antimicrobials in modern pharmacology. A 2020 review in Frontiers in Cellular and Infection Microbiology analyzed 48 studies and concluded that berberine disrupts biofilm formation across multiple resistant bacterial strains, including MRSA, by inhibiting the expression of surface adhesion proteins bacteria use to anchor to gut walls. Beyond bacteria, berberine activates AMPK, an enzyme that helps regulate gut barrier integrity. For anyone experiencing intestinal permeability, which is common in older adults with chronic kidney disease, that secondary effect matters. Ginger in this pairing amplifies circulation to the gut lining, improving delivery of berberine to affected tissue. Number 1. The Golden Flush Formula. Rating 10 out of 10. And before I give you the exact recipe, the precise timing, and what to expect in the first 72 hours, including something called the Herxheimer reaction that most people confuse with a bad side effect and quit too early because of it, I need you to understand why this specific combination outperforms everything else on this list individually. The Golden Flush is not 3 spices thrown together randomly. It is 3 biofilm disruption mechanisms operating simultaneously on separate targets. What happens when you combine them correctly, at the right dose, at the right time of day, is genuinely different from what any single ingredient can accomplish on its own. I'll break down the exact recipe, the coconut oil protocol, and the 30-day timeline right after this. The formula I use to reset my gut every single morning. Here it is. Everything we've covered so far, the biofilm problem, the declining beneficial bacteria after 50, the reason your probiotics kept failing at all, converges into this one recipe. 3 ingredients, 1 cup, taken at a very specific moment in your morning. And the science behind why this combination works is more precise than most people realize. Let's start with what's actually inside the cup and why each ingredient earns its place. Ceylon Cinnamon. Half a teaspoon of Ceylon. Cinnamon brings cinnamaldehyde directly to the gut lining. As we covered earlier, cinnamaldehyde degrades the polysaccharide scaffold of the biofilm matrix. It doesn't just irritate bacteria on the surface, it structurally dismantles the fortress wall they hide behind. A study published in Food Control found that cinnamaldehyde reduced biofilm formation in Listeria monocytogenes by 85% at concentrations achievable through dietary use. That number holds up specifically for Ceylon, not cassia, Ceylon, turmeric. Half a teaspoon of turmeric powder delivers curcumin, the compound that targets the genetic machinery bacteria used to construct biofilm in the first place. Research published in Biofouling in 2016 identified that curcumin suppresses the CSGA and CSGB gene expressions responsible for biofilm synthesis in E. coli strains. The colony loses the blueprint to rebuild what cinnamaldehyde tears down. These 2 ingredients are not redundant. They attack on 2 completely separate fronts simultaneously. Freshly ground black pepper. A 1/4 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper is not a flavoring agent here. It is a bioavailability mechanism. The piperine in black pepper inhibits the liver enzyme that would otherwise break curcumin down before it reaches your intestinal tissue. Without piperine, you absorb roughly 1% of the curcumin you consume. The landmark 1998 study by Shoba et al. In Plantamedica measured a 2,000% increase in curcumin bioavailability in human subjects when 20 milligrams of piperine was co-administered. Pre-ground pepper loses piperine content rapidly through oxidation. Grind it fresh right before you mix. Now, how you prepare this matters just as much as the ingredients themselves. Mix all three into 240 milliliters of warm water not boiling, because excessive heat degrades both cinnamaldehyde and curcumin. Then add half a tablespoon of coconut oil or liquid ghee. Curcumin is fat-soluble, meaning it absorbs through the lymphatic pathway when paired with dietary fat. The coconut oil is not optional. It is the delivery vehicle that carries curcumin past the gut wall and into systemic circulation, where it can reduce the inflammation that kidney patients deal with chronically. Drink this first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, nothing before it. Your gut motility is at its lowest overnight, which means bacterial populations are at their most concentrated. And the formula makes contact with the highest density of biofilm before food dilutes or interrupts the process. One more thing before you start. In the first 3 to 5 days, some of you will feel more bloated, more fatigued, or slightly feverish. This is not the formula harming you. This is called the Herxheimer reaction, when harmful bacteria die in large numbers. They release endotoxins as their cell walls break apart. Your body is processing a sudden bacterial die-off. Drink an extra 1 to 2 liters of water daily during this window to flush those toxins through your kidneys efficiently. If you stop during this phase, you stop right at the point where the formula is actually working. Commit to 30 consecutive days. Clinical data on turmeric supplementation consistently shows that measurable reductions in inflammatory markers, specifically CRP and IL-6, appear between weeks 3 and 4, not week 1. Patience here is not passive, it is the protocol. And if you are currently on blood thinners or managing a kidney condition with prescribed medication, speak to your doctor before increasing these spices to therapeutic doses. The formula is food-based, but at these concentrations, it behaves more like a targeted intervention than a seasoning. Your gut has been fighting a war without the right weapons for years. Every bloated morning, every unexplained fatigue, every probiotic bottle that did nothing that wasn't failure on your part. You simply didn't have the information. Now you do. Ceylon Cinnamon tears down the wall. Turmeric cuts off the blueprint. Black pepper makes sure the whole thing actually reaches where it needs to go. 30 days. 1 cup. Every morning before anything else touches your stomach. You didn't get here by giving up. And the body you're living in right now is still capable of remarkable things when you give it the right tools. If this video gave you something useful, hit the like button. It takes 1 second, and it helps this information reach someone else who needs it just as much as you did today. Drop your questions in the comments. I read every single one, and I will answer yours personally. I'll see you in the next video, where we're going deeper into exactly which foods are silently destroying your kidney function, and the 3 swaps that can reverse the damage starting this week. Take care of yourself. I mean that.